You can have the whole world of ideas, feelings, knowledge, and thoughts that you want to convey to your audience, but you don't know the exact writing style to use. And that is why you need to understand the 10 basic writing styles in the writing industry before you even start to write at all. Meanwhile, you need to understand some basic tips to choose the correct writing style for the specific thought or idea or knowledge that you are going to disseminate. And this is why this video is coming to you right now. This video, I'm doing it to show you the basic tips to choose a specific writing style. I told you earlier that we have about 10 different writing styles in the writing industry, so you need to understand the 10 of them. But before then, there are some tips that you need to be familiar with before you choose any writing style at all, and that is what this video is all about. Alright, so the first tip that you need to understand if you are going to be choosing a specific writing style for the thoughts or for the idea or knowledge you want to communicate is requirement. That is the first tip you must understand. What does the requirement mean? It means that every single thought, idea, knowledge, or whatsoever you want to communicate out there in writing has specific requirements that are needed. You understand? For example, if you are going to be communicating to us how you spent your last holiday, for example, definitely that is something to narrate. So that is why the kind of writing style you would choose should be a narrative writing style. If you are going to be choosing to explain to us or to tell us a particular story that had happened in the past, or a story that you made up, that's in fiction, definitely you are still going to do what? Narrate to us. So the requirements that that kind of writing requires is that you narrate. That is why this kind of style you are going to choose has to be a narrative style. You cannot choose you cannot choose other kind of writing style and it will fit it perfectly. The best style that you're going to choose to communicate a story or to tell us about what happened to you or whatsoever experience you had in the past or recently is to narrate. So the kind of style you're going to choose should be the narrative writing style. Any kind of writing that means you explaining, or you telling a particular story, then the style that follows it has to be a narrative style. So a story has a narrative style accompanying it. Also, if you are going to be giving your opinion for a particular subject matter, if you are going to be debating, or you are going to be talking about a particular subject matter and you want to give your own opinion, because you know that we all always have different opinions to different subject matter. So if you are going to be giving your own opinion to a particular subject matter, then the kind of writing style you will imbibe or employ will be the persuasive kind of writing style. So you have to understand that requirement matters when you are choosing the kind of writing style you want to use. If you are also going to talk about your best friend, for example, or you want to talk about a particular house you saw somewhere, or you want to talk about something that you just, maybe for example your best car, your best food, your best friend, you want to discuss about your best university and whatsoever it is, that kind of writing requires a descriptive writing style. So in that kind of writing, you might not necessarily have to persuade us. What you have to do is to describe to us what you want to talk about. So if you are writing about your best friend, then you will describe how the best friend is. So the kind of writing style you should use in that context is the descriptive writing style. So when choosing the writing style to use in a particular write-up, you have to first know what the requirement is. Is it a story that you should narrate? Is it is it that you are trying to describe something to us, or is it an argument or something that has you trying to express your opinion? Then definitely that should be a persuasive writing style. The second tip that you need to consider when choosing a particular writing style over the others is the tips that I call the formal or informal. Formal or informal. What does that mean? It means that the kind of writing you are doing, does it require you to be formal, or it requires you to be informal? If it requires you to be informal, for example, you are writing to a friend, you're writing to your relatives, your family, that kind of writing, you can express yourself there fully. You can go informal, you can use slangs, you can use all sort of languages and words that are popular and common. You can be very, very free in that kind of write-up. That's a kind of informal writing. But if you are doing a kind of academic writing, you are doing a business writing, you are doing proposal writing, and all sort of writings that are all this corporate writing and whatsoever, it may be your CV, your cover letter, you have to be formal. So in that kind of context, you don't use all kind of slangs, you don't use all kinds of words that does not go with being formal. So if you are going to be doing a formal writing, the style you are going to use will be definitely different from if you are doing an informal writing. For example, if you are writing to a friend, you are writing to family, you are writing to your relatives or whatsoever, you are going to choose to be informal. You can choose to be informal. But if you are writing a business proposal, you are writing academic writing, maybe your project, you are doing a kind of corporate writing, you are writing a CV, a cover letter, or whatsoever it is, definitely you have to switch to a formal style. So you need to understand that this criteria will make you choose what kind of writing style you should imbibe. So the next tip for you to choose the particular writing style that is necessary per time is complexity. Complexity simply is how a particular writer expresses himself or herself in words, whether in simple words or in complex words, in simple sentences or complex sentences. Okay, so if you are an amateur, or you are a newbie, or you are just starting to improving on your writing, definitely it is advisable for you to be using simpler words. Use simpler words, use simpler sentences. Don't use words that are too big, that you cannot really comprehend, that you cannot really use in sentence. Don't use sentences that are too complex. Learn to use simpler sentences. Write simple words, write simple sentences, write clearly, and write clear sentences. Professional in a particular field, or a professional writer can try to use big or complex words and sentences. That's because the person is a professional, or that's because the person is a professional in that specific field. But if you, as a newbie, you are just starting to write, you are just starting to learn or improve your writing skill, it is advisable that you just go simple. So to choose a particular writing style, check yourself, know if you are just starting or improving your writing before you choose to bring some big words or bring complex sentences together. If you know that you are just starting, just stay with being simple and being clear. Another tip that you have to follow if you want to choose a particular writing style is tone. Tone is what determines how the reader will feel after reading the text. So if you are going to choose a particular writing style, you have to look deeply and ask yourself, how do I want my readers to feel? How do I want them to feel while reading this text? So the tone of that particular writing will determine how your writing style will be. For example, if you want to write to make people excited, it is different from writing to make them angry. It is different from writing to make them very sad, or it is different from writing to make them do a particular task. that's call to action. So there are different kind of tone you can imbibe as a writer. So to choose a particular writing style, you have to first of all ask yourself, what is the tone, what tone do you want to use in this writing? How do I want my readers to feel while reading this text? So tone is a very, very important thing. The next one is mood. Mood is the atmosphere that the writer creates in his writing. So for example, a writer can be very humorous. That's if, for example, if you are reading a comedy kind of write-up or an humorous write-up, that write-up will be humorous. The writer creates a very humorous kind of atmosphere. And also a writer can write something that makes you optimistic or pessimistic or whatsoever it is. So the atmosphere that is created in a writing is what we call the mood. If you are going to choose a particular writing style to use, you need to consider the mood of that writing or the mood of that text. So just like I've explained, the mood is the ambience or the atmosphere or that a particular writer creates. So to choose a particular writing style, you need to first understand, you need to also consider what mood is going to have. Is it going to be terrifying, just in the case of all these horror movies or horror science fictions and so on like that? Is it going to be pessimistic? Is it going to be optimistic? What mood are you choosing? That will determine your writing style. The last tip I'm going to share here for you is syntax. Syntax simply means the order at which texts are formed through words. Or let me rephrase it, the order at which words are put together to form a text. Do you understand? So this one is actually more of the writer's opinion, because every writer has different personality. So a particular writer can decide to do his own syntax differently from others because of his own personality. I mean, putting his own words together to form a text can be different from other kinds of writing or other kind of writer. But definitely you have to consider your syntax when you are trying to write a particular context. That mostly is always about the author's writing style, but I just have to include it to it. So syntax is also one of the tips to choose a particular writing style before you communicate your thinking, your thoughts, your feelings, and your knowledge. These are the 6 tips that I'm going to give you here on this channel to choose your writing style before you start writing. I said number 1, I said requirements. That is it a story that you should tell, or is something that you need to describe, or you are trying to give us your point to describe to persuade us, or are you trying to express your mind on a particular thing you are debating? Next one, I said formal or informal. Are you trying to write to a family, to a friend, or you're trying to write to relatives? You can go informal. But if you are doing a business writing, proposal writing, a corporate writing, definitely you have to go formal. And the next one, I said complexity. I explained complexity, I explained tone, I explained mood, and I explained syntax. Now that you have understood the tips to choose the correct writing style, we are going to double straight into the writing styles one after the other. So in the next subsequent videos, I'm going to be explaining the different writing styles that we have one after the other, and I'm going to be giving you examples so that you will understand them and you will know how to use those styles. So ensure you stay tuned to this series, learn, make your comments, and make sure you subscribe if you have not done that. And if you have not switched on your notification button, kindly do that so that once I drop a new video, you will see it and you will come to learn immediately. Thank you. See you in the next video.